Hi, my name is Tim Tiefenbach, and I welcome you to a brief audio presentation of our paper entitled Disasters, Donations, and Tax Law Changes, Disentangling Effects on Subjective Well-Being by Exploiting a Natural Experiment. This study sets out to investigate whether an increase in donations in the aftermath of disasters can mitigate the negative effects on subjective well-being, and if so, whether policy measures, such as tax law changes, can amplify this mitigating effect by providing further incentives for donations. To answer our research questions, we analyzed the subjective well-being effects of March 11, 2011 in Japan. The initial disaster, known as the Great East Japan Earthquake, triggered a large-scale tsunami, which in turn led to the meltdown of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Only shortly after the disaster, the Japanese government put a long-planned change in Japanese tax law into effect, allowing higher tax deductions for charitable donations. Several studies show that disasters have negative effects on subjective well-being and, at the same time, have positive effects on charitable donations. In happiness studies, the positive effect of donations on subjective well-being is a well-established finding. However, those findings have not yet been analyzed together. Building on the literature, we expect disasters to have a negative direct effect on subjective well-being, a positive direct effect on donations, and a positive indirect effect on subjective well-being through donations. Our conceptual model takes the following form. We expect the effect of 311 to be partly mediated and mitigated by charitable donations. As an extension of our mediation model, we further assume that the awareness of the tax law change moderates the relationship between 311 and donation behavior. We expect that, in the aftermath of the disaster, respondents who were aware of the tax law change were more likely to donate. We use pooled cross-sectional data from the National Survey on Lifestyle Preferences 2010 to 2012. Our variables of interest are happiness, measured on a scale from 0 to 10, and donation behavior, a post-311 time dummy, and tax law change awareness, all measured as binary variables. Methodologically, we undertake the mediation analysis in a system of simultaneous equations using a three-stage least squares estimator. To account for endogeneity, we rely on a generated instruments approach. In our mediation analysis, we find that after 311, donations increased by 21.7 percentage points. People who make any kind of donation are on average 0.393 points happier, measured on a scale from 0 to 10. Accordingly, the indirect effect of 311 on happiness mediated by donations is 0.085 points. Controlling for donations, the direct effect of 311 on happiness is minus 0.274 points. Our analysis reveals that this negative effect is mediated and mitigated by the positive effect on donations by about 31%. Our moderated mediation analysis shows that the conditional indirect effect of 311 on happiness through donations for respondents who were aware of the tax law change is 0.119 points. Accordingly, in the case of respondents in 2012 who were aware of the tax law change, donations mediate and mitigate the negative effect of the disaster by 43.9% compared to 28.8% for respondents who were unaware of the change in tax law. In an extension of our analysis, we show that, although tax law change awareness leads to higher mitigating effects, only about 30% of the respondents were aware of the change in tax law. Therefore, the tax law change does not significantly affect the aggregate level of donations. We conclude that, hypothetically at least, the negative subjective well-being effects of the disaster could have been mitigated further by roughly 15% if more people had been aware of the 2011 tax law change. As for policy implications, our results show that governments can create incentives for donations in the aftermath of disasters. However, without effectively communicating new incentive schemes to the public, they might not be worth the effort in the first place. Thank you for listening.